Notts County Talk. It's another Thursday night. It's episode 116 of the Pavis Perspective. Thank you all for joining us. Plenty of viewers in already. We've got Tim, Crewe fan, joining us very shortly to chat about that game. We've got the Sutton game on Tuesday night as well. And then also we've got to talk about that game on Saturday against Wrexham. Plenty to talk about. The Didsey goal that wasn't given, and our overall performance, which I thought was pretty good from an away end that was fairly loud on Saturday. So well done to those who travelled, just not the result. Let's see who we've got with us this evening then. Apart from George, how are you doing, George?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm very good. I just had a takeaway pizza on a Thursday. You don't get better than that, do you?
On a Thursday?
On a Thursday.
Get that in the poll.
Papa John's, a good one. Other pizza places are available. We've got... I know, but, you know. We've got Ian, Alex, Adam, who's a channel member, Ken, Len, Ian, another Ian, Shane, Royston, Dave, Debbie, Gary. Plenty of you that are joining us. Hopefully a few Crewe fans as well. Whilst we are chatting to Tim, if you have any questions, as always, get them in and we'll try and put them to him. Corey, Sarah, loads of you joining us this evening. And if you are listening back on Spotify, please do give it that 5-star review. George, before we get Tim in, let's set the show up by, first of all, asking this week's poll question. What is that?
This week's poll question. Is £25 too much for an away ticket in League Two? Yes or no?
There's our poll question. And secondly, George, this is a question for you.
Oh my gosh.
Are the Crewe and Sutton games both must win?
That's a good question. I think 4 points.
From 2 home games?
Mm-hmm. Crewe concern me a bit. You know, if you look at teams that they've beat away, they've beat Stockport, Mansfield, away, and they're up there, aren't they? So I think they can do it away from home. So I think it's going to be a difficult game. Okay,
so 4 points, but if we do get 3 against Crewe, you wouldn't be happy with 4 then, would you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, big one though. Two very, very big games coming up in the context of the season. I think we could be as low as 12th or 13th by the end of the weekend if things don't go to plan. Let's get Tim in then. So, Crewe fan. Tim, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, guys. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Cheers for joining us and our first returning fan of the season. So nice to have you back. We've obviously in a second going to talk about our fixture at your place, which was crazy for a number of reasons. Not pretty on our part in the stands, or really on the pitch actually from us. But you have exceeded mine and George's pre-season expectations. I will admit that a few times on this podcast, I've just been throwing a few teams around and I said Crewe are going to fall off, Barrow are going to fall off. Don't worry about them. And you've not fallen off. Have you exceeded your expectations so far, or are you where you think you should have been at the start of the season?
No, we've exceeded expectations comfortably. I think the weekend's draw against Harrogate took us to 58 points, which was the exact amount we got in the whole of last season. And I think at the start of this season, I'd have had us down for probably a similar showing. It wasn't that I didn't expect us to progress year on year. I just thought the division was stronger. So I actually thought the finishing 11th or 12th again would probably represent decent progress in a stronger test. So yeah, we've absolutely exceeded expectations. Lee Bell's done a superb job, and to be honest, I don't see any reason why it should stop now.
Yeah, I think we're far enough into the season now for the fall off that I thought would happen. I don't think it will. Were there parts of you that were also thinking, come around that busy December, January, that you might drop off at any point?
Yeah, I mean, the issue we had then was just we had a ridiculous injury crisis. We had no midfield. Our whole bench was made up of 17-year-olds. So you could see pretty much the whole of December that Lee Bell was turning around and looking at the options behind him and going, I haven't got, I think there was a couple of games where he made no subs or he made one sub. And then as players have come back, as we got into January, the form's picked up again. As we've had options, we've had a midfield again. We made some decent signings in the January window, and it's been very good. But I have to admit, we got beat by Walsall on Boxing Day away, 2-0. And if you'd said then, in your next 5 away games, Crewe, you're going to go to Mansfield, Stockport, Barrow, Newport, and Tranmere, and you're going to be unbeaten and win 3 of them and pick up 11 points. I think I'd have probably told you to go back to your Advocar and your Bond film and have another nap. So yeah, it's been superb. It has been unexpected, and yeah, in that December run where we were struggling, I didn't see us challenging for the potential shot at the automatic places now.
Yeah, we've got a couple of questions that have come in, but we'll save them for a little bit later. The reverse fixture, I was there. George, don't think you made that one. It was crazy. One of the craziest things I've seen in a good few years from an away end perspective. What did you make of the game, first of all? Obviously a 1-0 win, but then what did you make of like the scenes after that? Because it was, I thought this is going to be abandoned in a minute.
That was my fear as well, to be honest. I mean, look, it was ridiculous. And I think most people on our podcast, on the Railwaymen podcast, we were sort of saying, a linesman crossed. You can't get to the stage it got to on that day where I think, officials were getting threatened and attacked and things thrown at them without repercussions. And I don't think there's been any repercussions. And, we'll probably let bygones be bygones now. But yeah, I did think it was ridiculous at the time. I have to admit. But it was a contentious game, and there was a lot going on at the end of that game, so I can see why passions were high. As for the game itself, I thought your passing and your possession was one of the best I've seen from a League Two team over the last few years. I thought we did a good job of keeping most of that in front of us, and I actually thought, especially first off, we probably created the better chances. I was really, really worried for the last 20 minutes when it was basically all you. And yeah, I just thought you were looking like you were going to probably nick it. And then obviously we went up a couple of breaks and a couple of chances, and we ended up nicking it. But yeah, I think it's quite likely to be a similar pattern at the weekend.
Yeah. George, you're muted, mate. You're muted.
Sorry about that. My thinking is, do you come to Meadow Lane with enough confidence, or that you're gonna, do a job on us, or do you still fear Notts a little bit? Because obviously our form's dropped off a little bit, hasn't it?
No, I definitely fear you. I think you've got 2 of the, or 3, or maybe 4 of the best attacking players in the division. Langstaff, McGoldrick, Crowley pulling the strings behind, Jones on the wing. I definitely fear you, and I think we've lost a couple of defensive players who were brilliant against you at our place. So Conor O'Riordan's gone to Blackburn for $500,000 in January, and Luke Offord, who we've actually been playing since the start of the year, we've been playing him as a N'Golo Kante figure in defensive midfield rather than his usual centre back. He's done his ankle ligaments and he's out for the season, and that's a huge loss. We've barely conceded a shot while he's been in that position. Never mind a goal. So him being out and Conor O'Riordan being gone, with them both having played brilliantly against you at our place, I definitely fear your forwards. And if Offord was there, I think I'd be going into this game quite confident we could take another win. Without him, I'm nowhere near as confident, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. If I remember I remember the game quite well, obviously, because of everything that happened. But the first half especially, our line, I remember, was ridiculously high. And I can't remember who it was. One of your strikers or wingers was constantly getting in over the
Tracy, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. It was so easy. And we were in the stand thinking at some point they're going to score, And then we kind of got a grip of the game a little bit. I think from our perspective, that's what you'll see that's very different under Stuart Maynard. Luke Williams just would play that high line regardless if it was working or not. We seem to have a little bit of a balance now, but you never know what could have been knocked after us playing so well on Saturday against Wrexham and coming away with nothing. So I think it'll be an interesting game. You mentioned Offord, and I put Charlie's comment up there about a big loss. And someone else you lost, and I'm sure it's not going to be a big loss, but we've got Colquitt from you guys on loan. Did you see anything of him? Was he just injured all the time?
He scored a cracker against Tranmere last season from nowhere, just a 30-yarder. And that's literally the only thing I remember from his 18 months. I couldn't tell you how many games he played, but it wasn't very many. What I do remember, I think he's quite decent on the ball. I mean, if he stayed fit, I dare say he could be sort of Dan Crowley-esque figure, but he's definitely got the technique. He's a ball-playing midfielder. I would say he's not the most mobile, but your biggest concern is just whether you can get him on the pitch. That was certainly ours.
Yeah, that's a worry for us. But we do, that is a pattern, isn't it, George? Signing players that are injured.
Yeah, it is a pattern, yeah. It's a strange pattern as well, really, because I think most clubs would probably try and stay clear if they could. But obviously not seem to take the chance a lot, don't they, on these players?
We probably have the best success story at the minute in the division with Jody Jones, don't we, with his ACL injuries and how he's come out of it. So you've kind of said that you're a little bit nervous of the game without Offord playing. How do you see it going? Because we're not got massive confidence at the minute.
Well, I think we're capable of causing teams problems. I think we're probably going to be a little bit more porous without Offord. I think you probably have a better chance of getting to the heart of our defence. I kind of think long term, we're probably kind of going to go back towards the sort of early season Crewe where we scored a lot and conceded a lot. And it wouldn't be a surprise if that started on Saturday. So, I mean, obviously it was a 1-goal game and it was a fairly tight game at our place. It wouldn't surprise me if it was. I know you're saying Maynard's tightened things up a little bit for you from Williams, who was very high line and all out attacking. But it wouldn't be a surprise to me if it was a score draw or maybe a 1-1, 2-1 on Saturday. Although I think it may be a similar game to Gresty Road, where I think you'll probably boss the ball and we'll probably go a little bit longer and try and get in behind.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I think it's interesting to probably point out as well. We sort of had a similar thing happen to us, didn't we, with Matt Palmerton? Sort of a similar role, sort of that midfielder that last season was fantastic for us. This season, started as he was playing last season, and sort of since he's been out of the team with a season-long injury, we have struggled to sort of replace him. We've got Robertson now, who's sort of picking up a bit of form, and he looks like a good player. But yeah, we have struggled, and that was a big concern for us. So there's quite a similarity there, I think.
There's definitely a player in there with Robertson, because obviously we had him last season or the season before, and he reminded us certainly in his first few games of a young Neil Lennon, all action midfielder. So I mean, there's definitely a player in there, and it wouldn't surprise me if he goes on to be a brilliant player at this level.
Yeah, Fleetwood fans laughed at us for signing him. But you love him, don't you, George? You think he's fantastic.
Yeah, I do. I think he's got a lot of promise. I think like he's quite technical, and he's not shy of a tackle either. He just gets stuck in, and I think there's a lack of that in the game, to be honest with you. And I think you sort of need a bit of a player that will get the game by the scruff of the neck in the midfield. And for me at the minute, I mean, I'm impressed with what I've seen. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not been flawless, but performance on performance for me is improved. So yeah, I really do like the look of him, to be honest.
Yeah, Adam said here as well, love Robertson. Newport away he was unbelievable, wasn't he? But we'll see if he can do that. It's sort of been 3 or 4 games in a row now that he's been good. Tim, we really appreciate you coming on. But I usually finish with one question, and that's the score. But I'm going to ask you a question before the score prediction, because we're getting closer towards the end of the season. What 4 teams do you see going up right now? It's a hard one.
I'll give you my 3 to go up automatically. I think Mansfield will win the league. I think Stockport will go up, and I think Wrexham will go up. I'm going to sit on the fence about who'll go up through the playoffs. Not necessarily because I'm worried about jinxing ourselves or anything. It's just, I think if you look down to about 15th in the table, pretty much anyone can still get in them. And I don't even know who's going to be in the playoffs, never mind win them. So I'll take the 5th on the 4th team to go up, and I'll just give you the 3 automatics.
Yeah, so the 3 that are in that spot at the minute, it wouldn't really surprise me. They're probably my picks as well. There is a question that's come in as well, though. It's how many tickets have you sold for Saturday?
I believe you gave us 1,000, which went fairly quickly, and we've taken another 375, and I think they all went today. So we're definitely going to bring 1,375. I don't know if there's any more available on the gate. If there is, I dare say it'll be 1,500. It's my birthday Saturday, and I'm really looking forward to my day out in Nottingham. There's a few of us going over on the early train, and I just want to say the last time a Crewe away game coincided with my birthday was 2018 when I was 40, and we beat Lincoln 4-1 that day. So I'm hopeful that we can get a repeat performance at Meadow Lane on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping in the nicest possible way we spoil your birthday a little bit, but it is, from what we're told, obviously we live here, but people like Nottingham as an away day. I think it's a good city. So to finish off then, Tim, what is your score prediction for Saturday?
I would love a win. I think it's unlikely with the firepower you've got and us losing Offord. I'm hopeful that our unbeaten away form in 2024 can continue. I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I could definitely see that happening. I definitely see that. Tim, really appreciate you joining us twice this season. Maybe we see you again in a playoff preview. I'm not sure, but yeah, we've got a long way to go still. So yeah, enjoy your birthday Saturday and enjoy the game.
Cheers, lads. Good luck for the rest of the season. Not Saturday.
See you in a bit. Cheers. Okay, good to have Tim on. First repeated fan of the season, making in his second leg on the channel. Right, George. Just making sure there's no Wrexham fans in the room because they've been all over my social media, all over our social media. I think they're in those drawers behind me. They're everywhere. Probably in the comments as well. But Saturday, goodness me. What a great performance from Notts, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What a superb performance. And I'm not one of these fans that we go and lose 2-3-0 to a team and I say it's a good performance. But it was a really good performance. And it hurts more to play well and come away with nothing than to play poorly and come away with nothing, in my opinion. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah.
It's painful. Do you feel like they're now starting to become our bogey team?
Wrexham?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't think a bogey team's the right explanation for what Wrexham are, to be honest. But
what do you think it is then?
Their wage bill's double ours. They're just throwing money at it, so they're obviously going to be favoured going into a fixture against us. You know what I mean? We've obviously got a good squad, but the money that they can throw at a new signing and things like that, like they can throw whatever really and outcompete anyone in the league in terms of finances. So yeah, that's what it is for me. A bogey team for me is like a mid-table, like lower table team that you always seem to struggle against. They're not a bogey team.
You agree with Alex here then?
Mansfield probably are a bit of a bogey team for us.
Yeah.
The only time we beat, I remember beating them was when we got relegated. So yeah.
So it means nothing really, does it?
It means absolutely nothing.
Biggest celebration this season was Craig McCall-Smith goal, and then we'll find ourselves in the National League. Did you follow the game? I know you're very busy. You didn't make it to the game, but did you follow it?
I listened to a little bit of it. Yeah, it was frustrating because it sounded like first sort of half we were all over them.
We were.
Yeah.
Mac a header within like a minute and a half. Oh my goodness. Should have buried it, but it's one of those where I know it's not an excuse, but it comes very early in the game and you might not be up to the speed. It's a good save. I was thinking of like top 5 players we've played against this season, not in the league that we've come across, and their keeper's got to be in there, I think. He's one of the top 5. So, who knows? But Second half comes along, and I'll be honest, I said it in the post-match. I said they battered us for 15 minutes straight after the interval. They could have scored. They had a good chance to score a few more goals, and it would have put the game out of sight. We weathered the storm, and we did the exact same as against Newport. We only allowed them in down the sides, which, if you think about it, Notts do a lot, don't they? Notts get in down the side, and we don't always score. I think as long as you don't allow teams a direct shot on goal, you're doing okay. And that's something we've got good under Maynard. We're not allowing teams a free shot on goal.
Mm.
So we limit them, and then Didsey goes and puts it in the back of the net.
Yeah.
I assume everyone here, Wrexham or Notts fan and yourself, George, have seen the replay of that goal. Honestly, from a non-biased standpoint, what do you think?
I think it's a goal.
Yeah, it's a goal, isn't it?
It's clear as day. The only people I've seen not saying that it wasn't a goal is Wrexham fans. So
it is a goal, isn't it?
It's a goal.
It is, yeah. You're clutching at straws saying it's hit his upper arm, because it's not. I haven't seen a still image where it shows it's hit his upper arm. I mean, it's gutting. And people are saying, the Wrexham players complained to the referee. They didn't complain to the referee. Complain to the referee. There'll be a Twitter account that will clip some of this out of context and post it shortly anyway. So we'll have people on top of us for that anyway. But they've done the same. They've done the same 3 or 4 times with us. Just clipped out of context clips and wanted reaction. Yeah. Happened on Saturday as well.
Makes you think.
Yeah, makes you think. But genuinely, without any bias, I've seen fans of other teams saying it's a goal. It is a goal. It is a goal. There's nowhere near enough. Like you can't be. I don't know where he's seeing the arm in there.
No. Do you see the one against MK on Tuesday?
Yeah, that was all over. Yeah.
What's going on there then?
Well, it's a goal.
It's a clear goal.
It is a clear goal. Do you know what makes it impossible not to be a goal? His leg, the top of his thigh touches the post, which means there's no room between the ball and the line. Yeah. So Ian says, Wrexham fans love you, Tom. They definitely don't. But as I was just saying when Tim came on, right, we sort of, I chatted to a couple of Wrexham fans outside the ground. Like, there's no issues. They're pretty sound. Sorry, I was talking that to Tim before the game. I had a Wrexham fan saying that they've seen a few of the podcasts and they watch a few of the podcasts. So if you are watching, maybe you are for a Wrexham reaction. It was nice to chat to you. But it's just on social media. There's a large amount that, I don't know, maybe some of them new fans that just are saying it was a handball and saying that the MK Dons goal wasn't a goal. But I don't. Will we meet them again in the playoffs? Probably not, because I think they'll go up automatically. Do you?
I mean, probably. I think if they didn't, it'd be a major loss for them with the amount that they've spent. Yeah,
I do as well. Big mentions of the money there, George. But there we go. Let's have a look. There's quite a few comments coming in. There's so many. So many comments coming in. Ref missed a Stonewall penalty for Sutton when they played Wrexham last Tuesday. Haven't seen that. But, you know, my reaction to that is that whole game is we deserve more. Could they have scored more? Yes. Could we have scored at least a few? Yes. And does that concern me, that performance? No. The only thing that slightly concerns me is we haven't beaten Stockport. We haven't beaten Mansfield. We haven't beaten Wrexham. We haven't beaten Crewe. We haven't beaten Barrow.
I think we'd have beat Stockport if the game was on 3-0.
Do you really?
No, I'm joking. I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure. We've got the usual talkie United reaction here. Sorry to hear about the news today. I have seen it. You're saying you might become a Notts fan. You're on the podcast enough, so maybe it's your second team. But yeah, not good at all. We posted in the chat, didn't we, earlier in the week, George? We just realised how poor Torquay were doing. It's like no wins. It's like 5 losses in 6. Yeah, it's just not good.
It's a shame, really. Like when you think about what, God, I can't, was it 2 or 3 seasons ago when they were in the playoff final against Hartlepool and Kyle Cameron scored, was it 2 perfectly fine goals that got disallowed?
Yeah.
It's sad when you look at like what can happen one way or the other.
Yeah, it is. One other thing I want to bring up, going back to that, is what Corey's put in here. Do we know what the applause were for at Wrexham? And I saw Notts fans getting absolutely hammered for this. Absolutely hammered. We didn't have a clue. I was at the game. I didn't listen to the commentary, but apparently the commentators didn't know what it was for either. Notts fans were getting dogs abuse from some people saying that, well, calling us all sorts of things that I won't say on here, but we went to Grimsby shortly after the incident with one of their youth players, and we fully backed the applause as you would. If Notts fans knew what was going on, regardless of who were playing or any past games we've had together or rivalries that might be there, we'd have applauded 100%. So there, James says Wrexham commentators didn't know. Mackie Horizon says, good question. What was it for? We'd have joined in 100%. As a fan base, that's something we would do. So yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about that. I want to go back to what I said to you about must-win games, George.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to look at scenarios that could happen. If we didn't win either of these games, playoffs would be still in reach.
Yeah, slipping away though.
They would be slipping away. And I would hate for a season where it's starting to slip away with sort of 10 games left.
Yeah, I agree. I think of sort of the last 7 or 8 seasons, might even be more. There's always been something in contention for Notts. Unfortunately, one of the seasons it was a relegation, but the rest were sort of pushing for promotion. So to sort of have that, it would sort of with all the work that's gone in, you feel like, and the quality we know we had and the start we had to the season, it would be such a sucker punch, wouldn't it, if that was the case?
Yeah, we spoke like a month ago when we were still in the playoffs by a few points and said if we finished outside, we felt it would be a failure from where we were. We're now outside. And talking about there's the not that we think it will happen, but there's the potential with like 5 or 6 games left to not be playing for anything. Do you see it going like as still having something to play for on the 46th game of the season, or do you think there isn't anything there?
Impossible. What do you think?
I've seen enough from Notts in the past 2 or 3 games to think. I don't know. I watched that first half, even when we were 1-0 down, and I thought I wouldn't like to bet against Notts if they got in the playoffs playing like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we were so good against Newport and we were really good against Wrexham. We have to back it up against Crewe. Now, it's obviously awful for a player to be injured, but if Offit's injured for them, I think that's his name, for Crewe, and Tim was slightly concerned that we might be able to get at them a little bit more, we have to take those chances. Like, we've played enough games now. Mansfield, ball went over the line, but we also hit the post and missed great chances. Those kind of games, we can't go into those and say, we nearly won. We have to go and win. We literally have to. Ian said we are good enough for playoffs. Jeff says we seem to be getting better. I think so. Could you imagine that turn of events, George? If, like Chris says, the 46th game could be the opportunity to relegate Forest Green after they took our manager 2 years ago. Oof. You never know, do you? But I'm going to go through these games, George, now remaining. I'm not going to go through them all, but sort of the next 5. Crewe at home, tricky or expect to win?
Tricky.
Sutton at home.
Expect to win. We struggle against Sutton, though. We always struggle against Sutton.
Bradford away. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Wimbledon at home. They've lost their main man, haven't they, up front?
Yeah, 100%. Sucker punch. He bullied us, didn't he, in the reverse fixture? I'd like to say we'd win that.
Then Crawley away.
Yeah.
Then you've still got Accrington away to play. MK Dons, Harrogate, Stockport. We've got a bit of a mixed bag. We've not got the hardest fixtures, but we've not got the easiest. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the fixtures as well. I feel like we've been looking at the fixtures for quite a while now and been saying like we've got a difficult run of fixtures. I think because the league is so sort of packed with quality, you struggle to come across a relatively straightforward game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think when we looked at it, I think Crewe spell was the end. Well, spell was the last game of our tough spell.
Yeah.
Because it was Barrow, Mansfield, Gillingham, Newport, Wrexham. We've got 1 win. So there we go. I've got a comment here. 180 odd watching, get it like. Thank you. Really do appreciate that. If you could like the video, drop us a subscription. We did really, really well in the last few weeks of number of subscribers. We're not that far off 3,400, so that would help absolutely massively for us. I don't mind. I think the playoffs would feel refreshing, even though we've been in it for 4 years running, purely because it's
refreshing.
It's 2 legs. It's 2 legs, and every time we got in the playoffs, you had to win every single game. There was no once the whistle had gone for full time, there was no way of getting out of it. So I just think I think you might be laughing, but it's refreshing.
There's no way is that refreshing. It's like the least refreshing thing in the world. I wouldn't say it's refreshing's not the term I'd use.
I'll be there at Medley in a short.
I was literally talking about the playoffs today at work. It obviously had a couple of drinks and stuff, so it was a bit more bearable. But you actually think about the football game itself. It was awful, the playoff final and the semi-final. It was absolutely... Obviously, winning was amazing, but the majority of those games was absolutely horrible.
Were they?
Absolutely horrible.
I love that. I saw you crying.
Yeah.
That's how horrible they were.
Exactly.
Or was that just because you spent the day with me?
Probably a bit of both, I think.
I don't mind a 2-legged playoff. You know, get us in those playoffs. Let's finish as high as possible. We're probably looking at an away leg second with the number of points we've got, but there's some good teams in there that we haven't beaten this season. We haven't beaten any of the top 7. So there we go. We haven't beaten any of the top 7. And only one of the top 9. So there we go. But you never know. There's a time for change, isn't there? George, let's go on to the poll question before we talk about the team news and about Jata. So the poll question is something that I really do firmly believe in with my answer.
Okay. We're going to see some passion. Energy. Right. Is £25 too much for an away ticket in League 2? Yes. Got 79% of the vote. No. Got 21% of the vote. Tom, hit us with your passion.
All right. I think you cannot be paying more than 20 quid for an away game in League 2.
How much is Notts for an away? Is it 22, is it?
Yeah, but take that out because I don't go away to Notts. I go at home. I agree with that. I don't think you can pay more than £20 for an away game, put Notts included. It's too much money. There was. I don't want to get it wrong, but there was an away game this season. It might have been MK Dons, and I think I paid something like £27 for an away game in League 2. You can get cheaper in the Championship, which it shouldn't be happening.
Do you know, for me, it's not really like a hard answer. It's not like a hard yes or a hard no. I'm somewhere in between because, everything's just more expensive now. Everything. So the football club are absorbing that cost if their prices don't go up.
27 was Crewe.
Yeah. So I think I think I don't know. I think £25 somewhere in the middle for me. I wouldn't say that's disgraceful. I think once you're touching sort of towards 30, I think that's probably that's too much. But 25, in my opinion, I don't think is colossally bad. It's obviously a lot of money. I think it is, but like I say, everything's gone up. The cost of putting on a football game will have gone up dramatically if you think about like the cost of electricity and gas and things like that now. I'm not sitting there feeling sorry for football clubs because they obviously have a lot more money than the sort of general fan would. But obviously it's the running cost, isn't it? That you have to cover, and it's the chance where teams can make money to sort of survive or thrive, you know. So yeah, I'm somewhere in between. I actually voted no because I'm not a hard yes, and I feel like it'd be
what were the percentages again?
79% yes, 21% no.
20 is plenty. Remember that campaign?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
campaign.
I remember it very well. Actually,
there's quite a few teams in the Championship that do like reciprocal pricing. So if they charge 20, they at one game they will charge 20 for the away fans coming back. I do know what you mean, and Corey knows what it means. Says inflation's gone crazy, but I found some tickets like in a draw from years ago, and it was so cheap. Some like when I was a kid, like £8 a ticket. The Accrington, have you seen the Accrington owner charging £15 for under 12? That's incredible.
Yeah. That's what you like to see, innit? Endorsing, like getting kids down to the stadiums.
Yeah, for 15 quid a pop.
What
have you got 3 kids under 12?
Family of 5, mate. What do you do?
Who's got a family of 5?
350 quid to take your kids to go and see.
Superb math. Superb maths. Across the whole season, that's going to be like loads of money across the whole season. £22 should be standard price.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think £22 should be the ceiling.
But you know what? We're not far off. We're not far off seeing £30 away tickets in League Two. That would be incredible. When you factor in, I know what you're saying. You're factoring in that, but you've got to factor in also the cost of an away day for fans. You're either paying petrol, train, bus, food, and you go in the ground and you're charged extortionate prices for drinks and food in grounds. There's got to be some kind of middle I think if like it's I don't know. We could go on about it all night. I think the margins are quite fine. I think like I think £22 for me would be like a good price for an away ticket. But then I also think if it's £25, like it's £3 more. Yeah, Chris says would cost me £60 to take me and my 3 kids to Accrington. Would be 35 at Notts. When you put that kind of context in.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's nearly double, isn't it?
It does depend on situation as well. Like if you've got a family and things like that, or it does depend on that. But away days can be more than £100. If you factor in train tickets and sometimes it's overnight stays. And
I think Adie's made a good point. He said, "Is that why the hand dryers aren't powerful to save money? Bump up the away prices now to £30. Get them hand dryers installed."
Yeah, there we go. If Martin said, if people pay the high prices, clubs will keep charging it. We're officially launching. We're relaunching the 20s Plenty campaign here, but we're going to call it 22 is Plenty to make George happy as well. That extra £2 should go solely towards the hand dryer power, though.
Exactly. This weekend, if Crewe bring in 1,000, that's 4,000 extra. That's got how many hand dryers do you reckon that is?
4,000 extra. What, for £2 more a ticket?
2,000. Sorry, yeah,
2,000. That would do some serious electricity for those hand dryers.
Well, I'm thinking about actually buying some hand dryers that blow out some decent hair. Generally, better blowing on your hands.
Stephen said, "My first game was 80p back in 1978."
Come on,
I'm not even joking.
Come on,
bring that back.
Can I ask, like, what can we confer that to? In 1978, how much was, I don't know, like a bag of crisps or a pint or something?
I don't know. I wasn't alive.
Because buy that reckoning, what's a bag of crisps like a quid?
All I'm saying was Freddo's used to be 10p. Now you're remortgaging your house for a Freddo. It's filth. It's filth. Don't get me. You're getting me ranting here. Can't even go and buy a Freddo now with my spare change in my pocket.
You can. They're only 25p, Tom.
They're not 25p for a Freddo. They're like 80p now.
Too much has been made of that.
My first Freddo was 5p there. No, pint was 32p, Martin says.
It says, 32p.
Right, let's come on.
Pint was 32p. That's that's crazy.
It was £7 at Wimbledon.
It's not even funny, is it, really?
No, oh my goodness me. Right. I could chat about these prices. Wagon wheels, which were larger, 5 pence for a wagon wheel.
Yeah, now they're more like trolley wheels, aren't they?
You can predict inflation. I'd have stocked up on wagon wheels and frozen them. That's what I'd have done. And just whip one out like every Christmas.
Would you not have
Think of
bought Would you not have bought like a house or something for like really like relatively
No.
cheap? No,
No.
just wagon wheels.
Keep the receipt. Take
You-
them back
you
when they've gone up.
You should contact like Martin Lewis. I think you'd be good on like his finance team. That's some solid advice.
Pavis perspective, money saving experts.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, Tom.
So, what did you learn tonight's show? Oh, Tom said freeze wagon wheels and take them back. Get in there. Right. Is Jata starting or going to be on the bench or not in the squad at all against Crewe?
Bench.
Yeah, I think bench. I think he's had long enough with the squad now, hasn't he? He's had a week and maybe 2 days. And I feel like that's long enough. That's not starting time, but it's long enough to be on the bench. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I thought Didzy was good against Newport. I don't think he was quite as good against Wrexham. And he needs the option of having a rest, doesn't he? Moraes didn't make the bench against Wrexham. We were very, very short. A few people put in that he should be on the bench. Ian and Stephen saying the bench. So let's go for our team then, George. Let's see.
Go on then.
Ashby Hammond couldn't have done anything about the goal and didn't really have much else to do against Wrexham. So I will go Ashby Hammond. I'm then going to stick with the back four, do you think?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah?
Yeah. And I think it'd be nice to see McCarry.
Yeah. Aaron started at right back. I'm not sure why.
Tired legs, probably from McCarry, I'd say.
Yeah, very, very true. He played the first time. Chris says McCarry has to come back in for Aaron Oman. Yeah, I would agree. I'd have Lewis McCarry in there. I thought he was excellent overlapping against Newport, and he's had more than a week's rest, hasn't he? A week and a half. So I'd go for that. Would you keep Warner, Baldwin, and Kyle Cameron?
Yes.
Midfield 2. We saw 8 minutes or 9 minutes of Colquitt. I thought he was all right, but he's not ready to start.
Okay.
Robertson is head and shoulders our best midfielder at the minute.
Yep, agreed.
In the past month, head and shoulders.
Head and shoulders.
Bostock just sit there and let Robertson do his thing. That's what I think.
I don't think he should sit down.
Robertson will just fly in and 2-foot him. That's how he plays, isn't it?
Why would he do that? We're the same team. There's just no need for that sort of hatred.
Colquitt can't play Saturday. Exactly what I was thinking, Charlie. Exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. But seriously, if you're sat down on the football pitch and you're the teammate of Robertson, you seriously think he's not going to 2-foot you for sitting down? He got grabbed by the throat by Elliot Lee, I think it was, thrown to the floor. And
it was Elliot Lee, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
He got a yellow.
Yeah. The refs seem to let Wrexham get away with murder, though, don't they? So the less said, the better, I think. Because it just winds us all up, doesn't it? Winds us all up.
Winds us up. Obviously, Colquitt can't play. I was just testing the people that are watching. Actually, a test for George. He didn't pick up on it. Kyle Cameron at left back. Would you still have him there? Yeah, just a few comments for Chickson.
No, I won't put Chickson in. No disrespect. I just think Cameron's been very good on the left.
Yeah, and then do we just go Jody, Crowley, Macron, Didzy?
We do, yeah.
What minute do you bring Jata on? Don't say it depends on the context of the game.
Well, for me, it depends on the context of the game. I think.
For me,
I think in an ideal world, I think probably after the sort of hour mark, maybe 17 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you don't know, if we're winning, you could bring him on. You know, whilst they're trying to press, or if you're losing, it'll be another option to put the ball in the box. I do feel like we crossed the ball a lot against Wrexham in that second half, and we were crying out for a bit of height. I think someone I spoke to said that he got off the bus and travelled with the team to Wrexham, but just obviously wasn't involved there. So there we go. We should start to see the bench looking a bit stronger, and we've seen images of Bajrami and Scott in training, haven't we?
We have. Scott's close because it was March in that video that they released. So I'm saying a couple of weeks. We could be seeing him back.
Yeah, that would be really, really good, wouldn't it? It would be really good. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to look ahead to a game in 3 games' time. Bradford.
That's very.
Talk to me about the pitch.
Oh, wow. I think Jordan sent it in our chat, didn't he? That is looking bad.
We're incredibly lucky there's not a game now until we play Bradford.
It's looking bad.
It's worse than any of the. I genuinely think it's worse than any of the National League pitches we came across.
Oh,
It was bad.
Fylde.
Kings Lynn.
Kings Lynn wasn't that bad. It was just wet. But Fylde literally had a part of the pitch that just looked like they didn't want the game on. Do you remember? It looked like they put a mudslide in the middle of the pitch.
But Bradford's bad.
Bradford is bad, yeah.
Bad. Dover. How have I forgot Dover? We got to Carlton Hill, and
the grass was supposed to be quite high, wasn't it?
What, Dover?
Yeah, apparently.
I don't think they had anyone even looking after the pitch. I don't think they had a ground. One team didn't have a ground.
Yeah, you're right. I think it might. Yeah, I think it was Dover as well.
Yeah. Have you seen Rochdale's pitch? Half of it's sand. I haven't actually. Haven't seen it, Nathan. Have to have a look at that. Right, we've gone through our team. For George, he's saying 4 points to be happy with. For me, I want 6. We need to get back in that playoffs. We have had on Saturday and Tuesday, the games that went ahead Tuesday, we've had a bit of luck with some of those results. Definitely. I mean, Wimbledon losing to, was it Walsall or Crawley? One of the two. I think it was Crawley. It's good for Notts, but it tightens it up below us. So, George, score prediction. What are you going for?
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Notts.
Ooh.
I'm saying Langstaff. I'm going to say Langstaff. I want Robertson to get a goal. We're going straight into Sutton as well. I hope you laugh at that.
Some of the comments on here are fantastic. Let's see. I'm going with... Oh, these comments are getting me. 1-0. 1-0. Don't be saying 2-1 Crewe. 1-0. Macca to make it 23 for the season, I think. And then Sutton, I'm going to say that's when it's going to click for us. I'm genuinely going 4-0 Notts against Sutton.
Really?
Have you seen? I know they're picking up a couple of points, but have you seen their form? It would be a disaster. A disaster for us not to score a fair few against Sutton. They've lost, drawn, lost, drawn, lost.
It's a funny old game, football, isn't it? Because you know, like next week's episode, we could be sat here talking about,
top
easy top three, playoff.
Yeah, I know. Or we could be down in 13th, thinking, is the season going to fizzle out? I'm genuinely going 1-0, 4-0. I think. I'm buoyed by Tim saying that they've lost their player that screens the defence, because that just helps Notts out. I know it helps every team out, but it helps Notts out no end. That could have been someone man marking Crowley. That's now not.
It could.
So let's see what you've gone for. I put a few of those up. Let's see. Ooh, right. 4-1 and 3-1, so 7 goals to conceded. We've got 2-1. We've got 2-1 Crewe from Dave. Going to be a tough game. We've got 2-0 win for Notts in both. We've got a 2-0. We've got a 3-1 and a 4-0. We've got a 3-0 here from Corey. We've got 2-1, 3-2, 3-1. Adam says Jata and Macca double 2-0. We've got 2-0, 6-0, Chicks and hat-trick, Jata hat-trick. Crewe 5-0, Chicks and hat-trick, Langstaff brace. Oh, no, that was for Crewe. And then that brace is for Sutton. 4-2, 2-0, and 5-0. Right, some fantastic predictions there. Almost 200 of you again. At some points, we did get 200 viewers watching. Thank you. Really much appreciate that. If you're not already subscribed, please do. It takes a second. And leave a like on the video. Really, really do appreciate that. Any Crewe fans travelling or any Sutton fans that are watching, safe travels to Medley, and hopefully you enjoy the game, but not too much. And yeah, anything else you think of, please do comment. And as I just said, please don't forget to subscribe. Final massive thank you to our Platinum channel members who you've seen at the bottom of the screen, and also to our Bronze, Silver, and Gold members. See you next week.